Hello and welcome. Good start, huh? Welcome to my Facing AdFARsity program. Let me ask you a question. Why are you here today? Why is it important to you? Are you discouraged? Are you a leader who needs to be refreshed? Do you need new techniques to handle adversity? I'd like to start with a quote by Joan Baez that says, "There are sorrows far greater than mine." That is my perspective, and yet I know I must learn to face adversity. I offer a program called Facing AdFARsity because I know that we need to change our lifestyle. We need to be able to face what's going on in a more powerful and broader way. And that's what this program will do. We go through the storms of life, and as we do, we grow. And I want you to face these storms with joy and peace and strength and resilience. That's what I do. I have now dubbed myself the adversity expert because finding a profound way to go through adversity has changed my life, and I want to help change yours. This program will allow you to face the world unafraid, with all the tools you need and grace, and model what it means for others to be courageous. I want to share how I've personally come far in the face of adversity and offer you the same tools. I've done this event a few times, and each time I try to offer new lessons. And today we're going to talk about the herd for the buffalo. And if you don't know me, I'm Vicki Trabosh. I'm an author, a speaker, a coach. And I've realized, recently I've realized I am a warrior. And I'm a warrior because I face adversity. And I want to beat adversity like it owes me money. Do you? Do you want to change the way you look at adversity? And this can be personally and professionally. And the more engaged I became on this topic, the more I was encouraged that it is an important issue for all of us. Learning to face adversity will help you deal with what is called post-traumatic growth. And that is the idea that from adversity comes wisdom. And in that wisdom, that's where we grow. We all know we grow from our errors, not our successes. In fact, many of us minimize our success when in fact we should be so proud of what we do, and we go, thank you, next. Do we really want to do that? Do we really want to play small? No, but we know the new storm is coming, so we try to get ready for it. Maybe like me, you've gone through adversity and you have a renewed appreciation for life. I do. And maybe that you have enhanced strength. I do. And possibly you have stronger, more meaningful relationships. I do. And perhaps you strengthened your spiritual walk. I have. The spiritual growth that happens when we take a deep dive into adversity and how adversity can make you stronger are the things I want to talk about in the next few minutes and give you some background and a template on how you can go far in the face of adversity. I recently received my master's in anthropology and archaeology from Harvard University with a focus on child soldiers. I spoke at the United Nations in 2016 and did a TEDx in 2018. And as a heart attack and cancer survivor, I realized that I am drawn to understanding what my life means and being able to serve others to tell their stories. Now, I want to give you a definition of adversity. It is a misfortune, a troubling situation, or hardship. There are many types of adversity that you encounter in your life. And as a leader, you may encounter self-doubt. I don't care what level you are, what level company. I have coached leaders, about 1,600 people. I just counted, really, I did. In the last 20 years, at the leadership level, they face doubt, self-doubt, and that's adversity. There's also physical injuries or illnesses, rejection, poverty. There are so many types of adversity we face. Losing a loved one of the hardest things to face in our lives, and struggling to succeed in your selected career. These manifest in all sorts of ways. And self-doubt is a big one because so many people struggle to find their reason for living. Not in the simple ways, but in existential ways. What am I here to do in the world? If I had $1 for every client that asked me that, I have a lot of bucks because people are looking for their why. Now, I'd like to stop and remind you of something. Do not fear the future, for it will come. Do not run from adversity. It will be of no use. And do not doubt that you have the strength to overcome any adversity. Recently, my latest adversity was cancer. And when I was down at Miraval in Tucson, Arizona, I was talking about facing adversity and going far, and I came up with the word AdFARsity, which I liked. And a new word was born, and the FAR stands for faith, acknowledgement, and recognition. I'm going to go over those in a little bit, but I want you to think about how you face adversity. Now, in those past events, I've talked about post-traumatic growth, these live events I've done, the hero's journey, with the emphasis on the metamorphosis that takes place in a person's life when they go through adversity, and it offers a lens to look at our life through its challenges and triumphs. It suggests that the personal battles we face have the power to transform us if we are aware. I sort of make a joke. I was speaking Saturday in LA and I said it. When I was 24, I had married John and he had 4 teenagers and they were 12, 14, 16, and 18, and we had full custody. And while they didn't live with us all the time, I always said, and I still say to this day, 43 years later, if I can raise 4 teenagers at 24, I can do anything. Was there adversity in that? Absolutely. I did not know what I was doing. But I kept growing and learning. And to this day, I know that if I can raise 4 teenagers, I can do anything. I can do a LinkedIn Live event. I can do anything. I can face cancer, and I can face the adversity of my life. Post-traumatic growth suggests that when we learn from our adversity, it has the power to transform us. Who do we become? Going forward, not looking back, but going forward. It's a testament to the human spirit for renewal and rebirth. I have a free gift I want to offer you, which is lesson 2 in my AdFARsity program. And there's a banner running down below. You can write that down and pull out the free lesson and do the work. Now, you can do the work alone or you can do the work with others. I suggest we do it together. But regardless, I want you to do the work. Go through the lesson. See what it means for you. Joseph Campbell's work, who studied the hero's journey, invites us to see ourselves as heroes of our own life, navigating the trials and tribulations of this life, and the potential for profound personal growth and transformation. I agree with Joseph Campbell that we can become the hero of our own story. Joseph says, you are the hero of your own story. The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Now, knowing we are our own harshest critic, remember, when you look back at what you accomplished, you will be amazed at your own strength. It was hard won, not necessarily chosen, but life-changing. So let me talk about the FAR in AdFARsity. The F stands for faith. Someone once said to me, if you fail to go within, you go without. I believe finding faith in something outside of ourselves is really important. And yes, I am talking about a spiritual practice. It could be meditation. If you meditate, you might find it difficult. You could practice with one eye open. And there's a woman named Pema Chodron who does a really good job at talking about meditation. She speaks of Shenpa, which is the urge or hook that triggers us during meditation. And it's a habitual tendency to close down. Like, I can't meditate. Okay, I'm going to try it. I'm meditating and I'm thinking, you know what? I really want a BLT for lunch. Oh, great. What a terrible meditator I am. No. Pema says that is Shenpa. That's something that catches you. And when it catches you, you release it and you let it go. I think that happens when we face adversity. I think we see adversity coming, we get afraid and we stop and we quit thinking about how we're going to face the adversity and we start worrying about it and believing in something unseen from a spiritual practice or even within ourselves may be difficult, but it is possible. For those of you who might like to be more active, it might be physical challenges that remind you of what you're capable of. There are enough videos on YouTube to show people who do impossible things that will remind you of that. Years ago, I was at Miraval in Tucson, and there was something called the quantum leap. Now, I was 39 years old. I wasn't terrifically in shape. And the practice was to climb this 35-foot pole, like a telephone pole, stand on a disc that was moving on the top, turn 180 degrees, and leap off, the quantum leap. I did not think I could do that, but I wanted to try. So I was with a group of people, and they're all just like, "Come on, you can do it." And I don't like that kind of stuff, but I can go up the pole. I wasn't afraid of heights. Some people who did that exercise were literally terrified of heights, and they did it. So I was watching person after person do it, and then it was my turn. So I started climbing up the pole, and I got to the top of the pole, and the pole ends, and then you're supposed to like put your hands down and lift your knee up through between your chest and the pole, and then hold on to the disc and stand up. There was no way I could do that. There was no way. I could not even get my knee between my chest and the plate. So I thought, what am I going to do? I thought I got to let go and keep climbing, which required a lot of balance. And everybody down below is yelling, "You got this, Vic." Da, da, da. You go, "Shut up," which was real nice of me. But I needed to focus. And I thought, I have to get on top of this disc. And I took a step onto the disc and it started moving like this. And I realized if I put all my weight on one leg, then I could make the other leg loose and I could lift it. You do not see my legs moving right now, but right now I'm standing in heels on one leg, moving my other knee. I took a step, then I brought my other foot over the disc and stood on it. And the whole pole started to go like this. And everybody down below was like silent. And then the pole stopped. And I looked out at the horizon and I thought, what am I capable of? And I turned 180 degrees and I left off. Changed my life. Because I did something I did not believe I could do. I was not terribly athletic as a kid, but I realized, what else am I capable of when I did that? I really believe that our nature is to get back up from adversity. In the 70s, when I was dating a guy who adored two people, Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali. I wasn't into either one of them, but this guy convinced me they were both incredible people, which they were. And Muhammad Ali was a heavyweight fighter. And so we watched heavyweight fights. And I am not a violent person, but I began to understand the art of heavyweight fighting. And when he would get knocked down, he'd get back up. And if you've ever watched a fight, you can get past the violent part of it. The spirit of these guys is unbelievable. And they would get knocked down, get back up, get knocked down again. And pretty soon, the audience would start to scream, "Stay down," because they didn't want to see him get hurt anymore. But inevitably, they would get back up until they get knocked out. Now, I don't want to get knocked out, but I think our human spirit wants us to get up so we succeed. And sometimes we just forget it's possible. If you practice a religion, it can bring you comfort, but it can also bring you confusion. But if you can look beyond the religion to the faith itself, don't get that shenpa about your religion. Like, religions are flawed. They all are. I'm going to say it. And I have a faith I follow in a religion, but it's a flawed system because it was created by man. But the spiritual part of it is really important to me. And if you can get past the religion to the faith and the spirituality, it will bring you peace. And I also want to remind you to have faith in yourself. I first got cancer in 2014, and nothing surprised me more than oral cancer. And I dealt with it in 2014. And in 2015, I had 36 radiation treatments to my face. And then in 2022, it came back and they removed part of my palate. And then in 2023, I had a massive surgery where I was in about an 8-hour surgery, and they removed skin off my arm, put it in my mouth, took teeth all over, took a lot of teeth. Like, when I woke up and I was 7 days in intensive care, my face was paralyzed and I couldn't chew food. I said, great, just great. Now, I love food. My last words are going to be, "You going to finish that?" But I couldn't chew because I only had like 2 little teeth over here to chew with. And my face was paralyzed. And yet I got back up. I started talking right away. I was super insecure about the way I looked, but I wanted to talk. And then in August of last year, they took another tooth. So I had 1 tooth to chew on. And then it turned out that the radiation caused so much damage from 9 years ago that all my upper teeth were loose. And 9 weeks ago today, and I've been doing these Facebook and LinkedIn Live events ever since, I had all my upper teeth pulled and I had implants. These are 3D teeth. They're really cool. I'll get my permanent teeth in a couple months. And it was not easy, and there was suffering. But I understood that this is what I had to go through. This is my journey. What is your journey? Stop fighting your journey. Stop fighting your hero's journey and realize whatever you're in, this is your path. There is no alternative path. There is no alternative universe where I could say, well, that didn't happen, then I'd be okay. I have no desire to change my life. I do not wish cancer on anyone else, but I do not want it taken away from me. It's made me who I am today. It's allowed me to stand here and talk about AdFARsity. In my thesis on child soldiers, I reviewed a film by a director. The film was called Children of War by Brian Singal. And Brian Singal embedded himself in a rehabilitation camp for child soldiers for over 3 years and told a heartbreaking and beautiful story at the same time. And the story was about, we followed 3 children. They were all child soldiers, a girl and 2 boys, and about their suffering and their rehabilitation and their healing and finding forgiveness. And I don't know how he did it, frankly. And I don't know how these children did it. But when I was interviewing him for my thesis, I asked him how he handled the suffering he saw. And he said the most profound thing to me, and has changed my life. He said, all suffering is impermanent. All suffering is impermanent. It's a Buddhist belief, but it is powerful to me and has helped me have faith in myself that I could endure any pain that came my way because it's impermanent. Now, whether we're suffering psychic pain or emotional pain or physical pain, I now know that all suffering is impermanent, and it gives me comfort. I am dealing with my mouth. I won't have my permanent pearlies for 2 more months. And I saw the doctor yesterday, and they hurt me when I go to see them. They don't do it on purpose. But literally, I sit in that chair and I think all suffering is impermanent. And it helps. I want you to try it. I want you to really try it. Whether it's something you're dealing with at work, whether it's a family situation, impermanence is really an important concept for you to think about. And with faith in yourself and others comes forgiveness. That's a longer story. And in my AdFARsity program, we're going to deal with a whole section on forgiveness. Because when we have to learn to forgive those who have wronged us, we can move on. Part of the program I'm going to talk about at the end of this is a year-long program I'm doing, and we're going to go deeply and dive deeply into forgiveness. And it can be a little scary, but it is the most freeing work you will do, is to forgive those who have wronged you, because it lets us go. And that's what we need to do to get on our journey. Recently, so I mentioned I was paralyzed and they took teeth and I couldn't chew. I tell you this, they did not warn me of either of those things. They warn you're going to have a heart attack or whatever. And do you think anybody said, we might accidentally paralyze you? No. So I spent a lot of time trying to decide which of the 3 surgeons paralyzed me. And if any of the 3 of you are watching this, it's the truth. And I was so angry about it because I do not like being paralyzed. But I did a forgiveness exercise and I thought, who do I need to forgive? And I realized I needed to forgive those 3 surgeons because what happened was an accident. It wasn't malpractice. It was an accident. They are incredible human beings. They serve to heal others. They wouldn't hurt me on purpose. But when they hurt me, I had to forgive them. Now, the other thing about forgiving others who hurt us is that we don't always tell them. I just saw one of the surgeons earlier in the week. It's not like, hey, by the way, I forgave you for what you did. That is not necessary for me. It's knowing within myself what I have done, because that is what sets me free. Who do you need to forgive? And how do you find a way to do it? I do forgiveness meditations and practices because, again, we can't do this alone. I don't put people on pedestals. Because if here's my view on pedestals. You put somebody on a pedestal, you're looking up at them. By default, you're looking down at others. So everybody's my equal. My surgeons, anyone. I've met presidents of the United States. I've met presidents. I've met world leaders. And it's like, they're just people. They're just like you and me. They're full of self-doubt. They're full of worries. They're full of fears. And what if, instead of worrying about where we rank in the world, we worry about how we touch others in the world? And that's really important to me. Forgiveness is a powerful concept in Rwanda. And there's something called justice in the grass, gacaca. And gacaca was started after the genocide against Tutsi in 1994. There were 2 psychiatrists in a country of 9 million people. Psychiatry was not culturally acceptable. But after the genocide, when 1 million people died in 100 days, the country was left devastated with a lot of trauma. And justice in the grass, gacaca, is the concept that in villages, and this is hundreds of year-old practice, that if there was adversity in a group, they would go before the council chiefs, they would talk about it, find forgiveness, and ask for it and receive it. Gacaca is a concept that I live by as well. So finding forgiveness is important as finding your faith. It's something larger than you, and also in yourself. I want to talk about acceptance now, the A in AdFARsity. Acceptance is putting the skunk on the table, as an old friend of mine used to say, dealing with what is, not what we want to be, not running from it. This is where therapy or coaching can be of huge value, because when we talk to ourselves, that voice gets super busy in our head and we don't always come up with an answer. But when we accept what's going on and put it out there, we get understanding and we hear that other people are going through the same thing. Everyone in my family and friends knows I have a 0 wine policy, but I do have a great red wine policy. And whining is different to me than speaking your fears. Because whining is yes, but response that begins to seep into conversations. I know, but what am I going to do about this? Yes, but, and I start hearing yes, buts, and the bells go off in my head. And what if instead of whining, you bring your problems to the table and you discuss them? That's what I've done for 20 years as an executive coach. And these are intimate, personal conversations with amazing leaders who you would look at and never guess they have a problem. But guess what? We're all facing adversity and we're all trying to find our way. The world put the skunk of COVID on the table in 2020. And I was part of a research group that did a report worldwide. We checked in with leaders to understand how they were leading differently through COVID. And it's the Institute of Coaching that I did this with, and it was a wonderful study. And we interviewed leaders around the world and found that they began to use more empathy, because they literally said, so here I am on a Zoom screen with all these little squares, and everybody's equal. And the secretary that never had the courage to speak to me asked the question. And I'm looking at myself when I'm yelling at somebody. I never looked at myself when I yelled at anyone. And they found that empathy was very important. Now, here's my question about that, leaders. Do you still remember the empathy you had during COVID? Did you get back to profits only? Did you get back to the bottom line? Or are you still taking care of the people that you're charged to care for? Leaders have a great responsibility to take care of those that trust them. And not everyone trusts them. But do you remember how you were during COVID? What changed you? Did you learn those lessons and take them forward? And remember, our job is to grow. And our job is to learn. Our job is to grow. And our job is to change who we are. I run masterminds and facilitations over the years and have seen absolute magic when a group of people get together and they support one another. And they meet regularly. In my AdFARsity program, I'm forming small cohorts of people to get together, work together with me, and also work with each other and form a support group. We've already have one going from this program, and already the magic is happening. And they've only met twice together. We meet once a month as a group, and then they meet with me to coach. But we learn to solve problems for each other through a series of questions. And I want to take you on that journey to go through that and watch your life change. And when you do this work, it will serve you for the rest of your life. Because if we stick our head in the sands, the consequences follow. Many leaders that I've worked with over the years wait until the crisis and then react. That is one way of leadership, crisis management. But what if there was a better way? In 2013, I'm the picture of health. That's what I like to say. I had the widowmaker heart attack, 2% survival rate. I survived, but I put the skunk on the table of my health in 2013 and said, something's got to change. I was under tremendous stress. I was overweight. I was working out. I thought I was doing what was right, but I wasn't doing what was enough. And I had to mentally understand what I was going through. But through the years, it has gotten more difficult with my health, but it's also gotten easier. And years ago, I came to understand the meaning of the buffalo and the spirit of the buffalo. So I'll explain the buffalo metaphor to you if you haven't heard it, that in the Great Plains of the United States, the buffalo wandered the plains, and they were a sacred animal considered so by the indigenous people of this land. And if they sacrificed a buffalo, they used it all. They used the horns, the skin, the fur, the meat, the bones. And they asked the spirit god for forgiveness, but they didn't waste it. The thing about the buffalo is that the buffalo in a storm, and they see a storm coming over the Great Plains, they head towards it. Now, why would anyone head towards adversity? Because they knew the storm was going to come and they might as well get through it. Because here's the deal. Here comes a storm and I'm running towards it. Storm hits, then it passes over me. If there's a storm coming, how am I going to do this? And I run away from it, the storm comes and catches me and stays with me. Do you run from storms or do you run towards storms? I run towards storms. And I translated this into a big metaphor when I had my surgery last February. I was in intensive care for 7 days and I didn't want any visitors. James, maybe next time my producer is on the line, maybe next time I'll show pictures of me after surgery. Not good. But I didn't want any family and friends there. I didn't want it would be too upsetting for them to see me. I had a tracheostomy, I had a feeding tube, I had tubes in my neck, I had tubes in my arm. I was tubed. And so tubing now just has a new explanation for me in my head. But John kept everyone informed. But I did prepare a buffalo poster for all my caregivers to sign when they came in. And as I lay with a tracheostomy and the feeding tube coming out of everywhere, I would point to the poster and I'd have them sign it. And they would smile and they would sign it. They became part of my herd. And in Rwanda, where I work, the word in Kinyarwanda word for buffalo is imbogo. You know, at my age, I'd rather be an imbogo than a buffalo. I just don't want to really be called, hey, buffalo woman. But I am imbogo. I face the storm. And today, I want to add teaching to all this work. We worked on post-traumatic growth last time. Today, I want to work on who is in your herd. And I want to help you on a professional and personal level. Think about who you have in your life that helped you facing adversity. And so I love acronyms. So I have an acronym for HERD. And I want you to remember something before I go into this, that the strength and resilience you have is not always about going alone, but sometimes it's about standing together. So who is in your herd? The first H in herd stands for helpers. They're the key encouragers for us. And they have the role of mentor, facilitator, coordinator, and they're integral to our team, personal or professional, for our success. Mentors provide wisdom and support needed for personal and professional growth. Facilitators keep the team united and focused, driving effective collaboration. And coordinators handle behind the scenes tasks that keep our operations running smoothly, personally and professionally. Together, these helpers create a balanced and dynamic team environment where each member can thrive. And the combined skills in communication and leadership form the backbone of your team, leading towards collective goals. Personally, I want you to think about the helpers in your life. And may I suggest you thank them today, because we would not be where we are without them. So an action item from this, thank some helpers in your life today. Just write them a note, call them, say thank you for always being there for me. Next in the HERD acronym is enablers. Enablers keep you going when you're done. And what I mean by that is the enabler is a position to ensure the team functions at the highest potential promoting a collaborative, efficient, and adaptive work environment. On a personal level, we consider enablers sometimes to be a weakness, but what if you saw them as a strength? Knowing all strengths overused become weaknesses. So enablers can be someone who don't help you from difficult behavior. But what if we leaned into the definition of an enabler? Embracing this role can be a more productive, harmonious, and competitive organizational structure. Personally, an enabler is someone who helps you clear the way in adversity. Someone who bridges the gap between what is happening and what you want to happen. My husband served in this role when I decided in 2015 to fire my oncologist and not hire another one. He found a new surgeon because I said, I'm done. He goes, you can't be done. I said, oh, I'm done. And because the surgeon told me if I was done, I would die. I said, okay. And John said, not okay. So he found a new surgeon. And after interviewing him, I decided to continue treatment. But without John in that role of an enabler, I wouldn't be here today. Do not view the enabler as a weak part of your herd, but as a gift to help you when you want to give up. Now let's talk about the role of the responder, the R in herd. The responder is often the unsung hero in your herd. One part of the role that the responder becomes undeniably essential is in crisis management, or what we like to call around here, AdFARsity. When it's a sudden project derailment or an unexpected client issue, the team responder is on the front lines. They are the first to triage the situation, gather the necessary information, and relay it to the appropriate team members. Their calm and organized approach can be the difference between a crisis averted and a disaster realized. Responders on a personal level recognize an adversity first, and often in a given voice will tell you their concerns, their gut. Listen to them. Many leaders have people all around them that will say, I told them, they weren't listening. And our ego has to step out of the way so that we can hear. I always say the ego speaks first and the soul whispers and is persistent. The soul tells us we should be listening. The ego says, I don't need their help. But if we listen to them, we cannot avoid the adversity, but we can be more prepared for its coming. They are the ultimate weatherman or woman who reads the upcoming situation, sees what's happening, and advises you. So the responder is both the unsung hero and an essential component of any successful team. And while no one wants bad news, it's better to listen to it than ignore it. Finally, there's the director. The role of the team director is multifaceted, requiring a strategic mindset, strong leadership skills, and a deep understanding of both team dynamics and industry trends. By setting clear goals, fostering a positive environment, and managing resources wisely, a team director ensures the team not only meets its objectives, but also thrives in a rapidly changing environment. For those who aspire to this role, honing their skills and gaining relevant experiences are crucial towards making a significant impact within an organization or within our lives. And how important is keeping an overall view of adversity? Many times we get in the weeds and we don't know what's going on, and that 30,000-foot perspective is really important. When it comes to adversity, it's important to look at all of it. As difficult as it is, face the storm of it, be imbogo, and know that the director can help us get an overall plan to face it. Facing adversity requires skills on multiple levels, and you cannot do it alone. I have faced the storms, and it is through my strong, I have faced these storms, and it is through my strong herd I have formed that has allowed me to be successful. In business, it's your team. With those whom you work, and allow them to fill the role in the herd that is best suited to them. Are they a helper, enabler, responder, director? Identify them and help them fulfill their purpose. Personally, many times these 4 roles are filled by family, friends, medical providers, and professionals with whom we live and love. In my AdFARsity program, we'll discuss these roles in depth and really identify people so that you can go to them and say, here's what I need. And nothing is more important in business than telling people exactly what you want to do. And if you choose to join, you'll get the chance to really discover how your herd can take a rightful and meaningful place in any and all adversity. Remember, standing together brings you strength. Don't try to do it alone. That was all about acceptance in AdFARsity. And now we move on to the third part of FAR, the R, which stands for recognition. We must recognize all victories, great and small, and be grateful. When I first got oral cancer, I had no idea what to expect. I was searching around the internet, and I found this CEO up in Seattle who had throat cancer and went through horrendous treatment. Not that any of these treatments aren't horrendous, but he had his challenges. And he said something that helped me change my view of what I was going to do, because as a very goal-oriented person, I just want to get through it. I want to get over it. I want to get end of it. I want to be done. I want to be done with cancer. I still want to be done with cancer. I want to be done with business struggles. I want to be done with family challenges. But guess what? Spoiler alert, we're never done. And he said something so profound. He said, celebrate the small things during your treatment. The doctor visit, the family party, a beautiful day, the weather. My friend Tracy Stone, who's an entertainer, just did a short video yesterday. He was sitting in his car, and he's a brilliant, kind, good man. And he was saying, be in the moment. He had his window open. He could smell the air and he could hear the birds, and he's a singer. I thought he was going to break into song. He did not break into song, much to my dismay. But he was celebrating the moment. He was recognizing everything that happened. And when we learn to celebrate people in a way they want to be celebrated, that is the magic. When I ran a large team at a bank, not everyone needs a "you're awesome." Some people need a very detailed response to a great job. The way you did that report was excellent. Thank you for the detail. That works for them. "You're awesome" does not work. We have to use the golden rule, the platinum rule of communication. Treat people the way they want to be treated. Acknowledge others the way they want to be acknowledged, not the way you'd like it. And that happens to me a lot. People say things to me and they don't go anywhere. They're not what I need. But when someone recognizes me for something and tells me something that brings joy to them that I do, I accept that and I rejoice in it. And I recognize the importance of what I bring. Rejoice. Again, I say rejoice. Rejoice in the smallest of victories. Greatness lies not in the event, but the attitude of gratitude we hold. For instance, right now with these new 3D teeth I have printed, they're kind of cool, actually. I don't know how, I don't understand 3D technology, but when they put the teeth in, I said, okay, I get it. I can't eat. I just went to the dentist again. It's been 9 weeks. I cannot eat hard food for another 2 months. But finally, the other day, I was able to eat something warm because I was only putting cool things in my mouth. I rejoiced at that. I recognized I had made progress. Something else I've come to realize in the last, I don't know, year, everything is a function of time. I am impatient. I want things today. And evidently, things take time. 9 weeks out, I can chew a little bit of soft food. So if you want to have a meal with me, bring soup. But the other morning when I woke up really hungry, kind of growly hungry, boy, I'm hungry. And then I thought about, I recognize that there are others in the world that are hungry like that every single day. And in the words of Dead Rita, I knew this too shall pass. And I was grateful and thankful that while I was hungry in the moment, I was not permanently hungry like so many people in the world. And I'll be okay. And one day, God willing, I'll be able to eat hard food again. And who thought that I would rejoice at the thought of eating a cheeseburger? Who knew? James, thanks for putting that up. Honest to goodness, so I slobber still because I've still got paralysis. I am now slobbering looking at that word cheeseburger, but I will eat a cheeseburger again one day, and I will rejoice. I'm so thankful. I watch people chew food, and I go, wow, that looks good. I was at an event last week for Providence Cancer, and I was watching everybody around me eat, and I ordered the lentil polenta bolognese. And you know what? It was soft, and I could eat it, and I was so thankful. Couldn't touch that salad with a 9-foot pole, but I could eat food, and for that I am thankful. And what I've learned is the Stoic philosophy. And you can learn to manage what you can and let go of what you can't. And Marcus Aurelius says, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. I want to repeat that. Sorry, James, would you mind putting it back up? If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This practice takes a lifetime, but it is worth the effort. Now back to you. How do you celebrate people in your life? How do you celebrate yourself? Where do you find wonder? Where's your happy place, as we like to say? A couple of months ago, I went to Tucson, to Miraval, where I had that quantum leap when I was 39. And I went there to get my head on straight for the upcoming tooth surgery of having all my teeth pulled. And I was so grateful to be there and so thankful. And I was hitting a giant gong and meditating and sitting by the pool and having treatments and looking at the food I couldn't eat, because even though I had my upper teeth, they were all loose. So I had to be super careful because I could just imagine my teeth falling out in the middle of a meal, which was not a pretty sight at all. And there were challenge courses. There was a time for me, and there was no drama. But in that realignment, in that recognition, I came back determined to succeed. I did not want to face the storm of these teeth getting pulled. But I got my head on straight and I faced the storm head on. And here we are 9 weeks later. I was so fortunate that I could take the time to get away. Can you? Can you take the time to get away? Because if you can, you should. In the coaching program I'm going to talk about in a little bit, part of it is a time to go to Miraval with me. And I don't know that there's anything better than getting away and meditating and thinking about life and coming back refreshed. It's often called a vacation. Many times, vacations are too short, or we're so busy and it takes a while to come down from all our work. But consider what you would be like if you could go away and be purposeful about looking at yourself and what you want. I rejoice about other good things too, like a good doctor visit. Every time I submitted another chapter in my thesis to Harvard, I celebrated. Then I have celebrated loading the whole thing. And right now, today, there is graduation at Harvard. And I was there last year at this time to graduate from Harvard. Enjoying time with my family and friends is so critical to me. And I believe we have to find a way to make sure that we have relationships in our life that bring us joy and happiness. So consider how and who you will choose to rejoice with. Those are the 3 pillars of FAR: faith, acceptance, recognition. There is so much more in this work than this short message. And I'm going to be offering a 12-month program where we'll offer a deep dive into resilience and facing adversity. It will be a cohort of no more than 8 people who will meet once a month on Zoom and meet with me one-on-one. And I also have 2 planned live events, which is a weekend in July in Oregon and a week or so in Miraval in Tucson, Arizona in October. Now, this is not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm not selling it like that. This is an opportunity to change your life once and for all. I have realized that my journey in this world is one of adversity, but I face it with joy, and my legacy will be helping others to face it as well. Long after I have uttered my last word, I want to encourage you not to be inspired by me, but to be inspired by yourself and know it's time for you to practice what I preach. This work is for you if you're done skirting adversity and want tools to change your outlook forever. The program includes a workbook designed to help you identify your greatest obstacles with great compassion, skill, and courage than you thought possible. As an executive coach, I work with CEOs, leadership teams, executives to do just that. I work with entrepreneurs who want to start new businesses, and nothing brings more adversity than starting a new business. And I work with individuals who want to dive deep into their personal space and figure out how they face the adversities of their life. During the 12 months, which starts in June, there will be the coaching, the group work, transportations and accommodations are extra for the two in-person events. There will be guided meditation, homework assignments, and this work is life-changing. I've already seen it again in the people that are in this program. And you have to want this more than you've wanted other things. And if it doesn't serve you to go into a program like this, contact me. And we'll have a slide at the end to show you where you can contact me to find out more about coaching one-on-one. But we'll be starting in June. And I can't wait to go through this journey with you. It's not a sad thing to face adversity. I've watched it in Rwanda. I've watched people rise up from the ashes of a genocide, and they want to be defined more by their strength and resilience than their grief and loss. And that is what I want. And I am so fortunate to have worked in Rwanda and seen it happen firsthand over and over. So this is the link that you can go to find the Facing AdFARsity program. Go to it, take a look at it. It'll explain the details. It'll explain the cost. And as a free gift, I've attached a lesson, which we had a banner going down below. Are we changing banners? Let me see. Yes. Good. James, you are a rock star. I want to say hello to James Backus, my engineer, who gets this thing on track and keeps it on track. So go to AdFARsity, free gift to you, and you'll get chapter 2. You can download it. And I hope this time together has brought you support. That if we never speak again, that you got value from today, that you understand who's in your herd. We will upload this. You can watch it again. You can run to the good parts. But I want to change my own world in a way with my own tools, and I want the same for you. And I'd like to end with a prayer. It's an African prayer that says, take care of the children, for they have a long way to go. Take care of the elders, for they have come a long way. And take care of those in between, for they are doing the work. Thank you for doing the work. I'll see you soon.